Welcome to Master B2B Mythbusters, where we take a hot topic in B2B e-commerce and we put a subject matter expert on the hot seat, that one you just saw during the intro.
Well, not that one, but one like it, right?
One just like it. That's right, Andy. One just like it, and we prove whether this is a fact or a myth. And today we're talking about sales teams. My name is Brian Beck. I'm thrilled to be here with Andy Hoar. For those who don't know Andy, he's my partner in our Master B2B Thought Leadership series. He has several decades of experience in e-commerce. He was the head of B2B e-commerce at Forrester Research for 7 years and is now the CEO of Paradigm B2B. Andy, good to be here with you on another Mythbuster session. This is an exciting one.
So for those who know Brian is a multi-decade professional himself. That's a new term for veteran.
Yeah. Old
Industry veteran, multi-decade professional. So Brian's my partner in the Master B2B undertaking, our community. But prior to that, Brian was he's been a consultant. He worked for Guidance.
Yep.
He's been a practitioner. He worked at Harbor Freight Tools, ran B2B e-commerce there. He was at PacSun, where he ran B2C e-commerce. So he's done both of those. He's the author of a book called $1 Billion B2B e-commerce. And weren't you also a professional baseball player and an astronaut as well, Brian?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
I was never. Well, yes, folks. So yes, thank you, Andy. And we're excited today because we have a great topic. Today, we're talking about, will B2B e-commerce make the sales team obsolete? And Andy, this is one that's close to your heart. We'll talk more about that in a moment. But before we get into the topic, I want to remind folks that this webinar is recorded, so it will be available on demand afterwards. And if you have comments and questions, please place them into the Q&A box there. We'll get to as many of those as we can. We love it when people contribute questions for our hot seat participant, because that makes it even hotter. So at the end of the session today, you'll have a chance to vote whether that question is debunked or whether it's true, and we'll get more into that. But Andy, this topic, I mean, you wrote about the sales team in e-commerce with the death of a B2B salesman back when you were at Forrester, I guess 6-7 years ago now, and you predicted that, gosh, all this e-commerce stuff, and now with AI, et cetera, other tools available, would actually make the sales team irrelevant. And in this case, we're calling it obsolete. But why don't you set us up, Andy? Let's go and talk about some data, because we've done some data around research around this topic ourselves.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. Next year will be the 10-year anniversary of that piece of research.
Wow, 10 years.
I know, it's kind of stunning. So but I argued back in 2015 that the traditional sales rep, as we know it, the commission carrying, traveling sales guy, who spends time on the phone with his clients, getting to know their families, et cetera, that model was under threat from e-commerce. And, we established in, different categories, different types of sales reps. We always said that the value-added consultative sales rep was actually going to do better, not worse. But the guys the men and women who were going to be hurt by e-commerce were the order takers. And I think that's come to bear. I think that's pretty clear. And then AI is a new twist on this. But why don't we go through some of the most recent research on the topic? And it's like a broken record. In fact, we got almost the exact same number last year in the research you and I did through Master B2B.
Right.
68% of B2B buyers prefer gathering information on their own to interact with a sales rep. It was almost exactly the same number we got last year. And it's almost the exact same number I've gotten for years in the research I've done going back to 2015. But, if you don't have to trust Master B2B or me or Forrester. There are other companies that have looked at this as well. Gartner's another one. Just a couple of years ago in the Future of Sales report, they zeroed in on millennials, which are now, I think, 3/4 of all the purchasing is done in B2B by millennials. I think 1/4 now, a number I saw recently, is being done by Gen Z. Wow. So, this has shifted dramatically, but Gartner found that 44% of millennials prefer no sales rep interaction at all.
Incredible.
In a B2B setting. And further, which is also kind of interesting, as I said, B2B buyers only spend 17% of their total purchase journey with a sales rep.
Wow.
So, Gartner is a believer in this as well. And then, of course, you can't have any conversation about B2B commerce without talking about Amazon Business. They published some research 2 years ago that really kind of hit this as well and said, for larger customers, you can even argue for smaller companies that actually operate more like consumers, where maybe they want to have digital self-serve, but the larger companies, you would argue, still want to talk to sales reps. Well, 91% of B2B procurement professionals prefer to buy online, and just 2%
Wow.
surveyed said they purchase exclusively offline. How much of a change is that in the last 10, 15, 20 years? I don't have numbers from 20 years ago, but I bet it wasn't 2%.
Yeah.
Well, exclusively offline.
And it's incredible.
So,
And I think part of the thing that's held people back too is the supply side. It's this preference is clearly there. I mean, even with Amazon, you see they're now having conferences around procurement, bringing procurement people together in person, but then to send them off to order online.
that's right.
Right. So it's fascinating. But this is really a debate, and it's been a hot one for a long time. And I remember back when you published that report, Andy, that caused a lot of fervor in the industry, a lot of debate at the time. And, I think we're seeing this really come to pass. And so you and I are going to take one side of this debate here as we bring on our hot seat participants. So I think it's about that time, Andy. I think we have to release and reveal who is sitting in our hot seat today. Let's roll the clip. Let's go to it. I hope Mr. Pope is wearing his neoprene suit and his fireproof container. Mr. Trevor Pope, welcome to the Mythbuster session. Trevor is Senior Director of Solutions Architecture at Optimizely. He has a long career in this business. He was at Merkle, at SunGard, other places, 10 years at Optimizely, knows this stuff inside and out. And he is going to argue that, in fact, that Andy and I are wrong, that that the sales rep is not dead. So talk to us, Mr. Pope. Welcome to the program here.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So, yeah, I mean, there's a place for digital and commerce. What I'm saying in terms of a sales rep is that when you have customers who are spending tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars with a specific company, when you have complex products, and it's the job of this person to make sure that it's the right product that gets to the right place at the right time, that's where the sales rep really has value add. And it's where we see within our customer base that as they're seeking retention as their number one metric with existing customers, that they retain those customers and help those customers, that it's the relationship carriers and the sales reps who are bringing value that actually help with that customer retention. In fact, in your own report around the 24 B2B state of commerce, it is retention that is one of the most valuable things and where profitability really lies. So it's a key part of that overall relationship between these distributors and manufacturers doing B2B commerce.
Trevor. Okay, but Trevor, what's the deal with like reorder and replenishment? So if I'm buying the same stuff on a quarterly, monthly basis, weekly basis, do I really need to talk to a sales rep every time, or can I just add that to a cart online and be done with it?
So reorder and replenishment, restock, that's absolutely something that you could and should do online. Like there are purchases, simple purchases, where what you want to do is remove friction. But reorder and replenishment are also often tied to larger things. And that's where, whether it's quarterly or other points in time, where your sales rep can add information about maybe it's new products for that reorder and replenishment, or new applications that they can help you in ways that you're not thinking about, that they're actually typically experts in both the problem and the products that are actually being purchased.
So do I need to talk to somebody for reorder and replenishment, or do I just not? I mean, in some industries, it's 50 to 75% of the total unit volume is basically predictable, reorderable, replenishable stuff. What's the role of the sales rep in that particular environment?
Yeah, I mean, it's the role of the sales rep to understand the problems that the customers are actually solving. And for the simple things, you want to remove friction from that ordering process. That's obviously a key part of reorder and replenishment for those items. And whether the customer prefers that online channel or the customer just wants to call someone and make it happen or talk to someone who actually understands the problem, you shouldn't call them for the simplest orders and the newest things. That's not what you prefer. But sales reps are typically, the good sales reps are invested in what that customer is actually doing and the problems that they're solving to help them. So simple, yeah, they don't have to, but your customers do prefer multiple channels and options with which they're doing orders. That's really the higher name of the game.
Well, Trevor, first off, good move using our own data against us. Well done. That was good. But, at the end of the day, okay, so let's set repeat orders aside because I think we're kind of agreeing and you're agreeing with us that, hey, that's not really a role for the sales rep, but you basically said, so let's focus on the other half. So we've already won half the argument. The other half is, really, we talk about these more complex types of, purchases, solution selling, things of that nature. I'm still not convinced. I mean, if we look at AI, right, and look at everything that AI can do, and frankly, we're just on the surface of a lot of these things. What can a sales rep do that's different that AI can't handle? I mean, you think about complexity or understanding application, sort of the things you've been describing, how a customer might use these solutions. AI can understand that, can it?
Well, Brian, before you answer that question, Trevor, Brian, remember that technology we looked at a couple months ago on our Friday 15, where it could read your emotions, right? And you could talk to it, and it would say, "Sounds like you're a little bit, frustrated. Let me, answer that question in light of the fact that you're frustrated." I mean, now they have these emotional chatbots too. To Brian's point, Trevor.
So, I talked to a number of our commerce directors, people running commerce sites in general. And one of them was a distributor who works with a lot of manufacturers. They're also in the MRO space, maintenance, repair, and operation, right? And a significant portion of their sales require configuration because of the complexity. They also work in that industrial automation side, and that the technical sales team is a key part of guiding customers with what they need. Yeah, you can connect AI, but oftentimes the complexities of both the products you're selling, a lot of times the manufacturer doesn't even have full AI or complex configuration figured out. If you're a distributor selling that manufacturer's products because they don't sell direct, good luck connecting that to your site and having all of that work seamlessly, especially in light of the customer's problems, where it's not always just new. Sometimes it's repair. Sometimes it's other things that are happening as a part of that. Technology plays a role. You have to have good information, allow them to do research, but some people prefer to start with a sales rep and end online. Some people start with online, they end with a sales rep as far as that ordering process for confirmation that the things that you're actually getting are correct. This is complex. Most manufacturers that we run into have not actually totally figured this out. And really what we see overall, we actually measure across our commerce customer base, both online and offline, as far as utilizing the site and overall interaction with those customers and offline orders. We see that the highest growth customers of our customers are those who are engaged across multiple channels. It's not single channel engagement. But if you're only online and you have no sales reps with which to interact with and kind of get all the complexity side and everything else, it's much harder. If you're only offline, it's obviously much harder. But what we see with the data of our customers is that those are the ones who grow fastest, average order value year over year.
Trevor, I think I heard you say it's not here yet. You said that you were talking about data from the manufacturer and things like that. I agree where we have data gaps and we call it the data problem in the B2B industry, right? But when we think about what AI can do and addressing some of those complexities, I'm not convinced it can't get there. I'm not convinced that you need that person sitting there doing the complex configuration when, a lot of that configuration has to do with technical application, I'd imagine, things of that nature, which AI ought to be able to understand at scale. Don't you think?
At some point, maybe. We're arguing about today, Brian. And at some point, it might get there, that it is so smart that it's there. It is clearly not there today.
Okay.
And as far as AI's capabilities and the adoption of manufacturers and customers, everyone else, they actually have the faith to trust in that. No way.
Okay. All right.
We're investing in that. We're doing a ton in that AI side, right? And if you're in a subjective area, great. If you're in objective purchasing of these products that have to work within your environment, that if you're in electrical systems and buildings or other areas, you don't want to say, "Oh yeah, but ChatGPT told me that this is great." And,
but let's be serious. Let's be serious about one thing, though. It's not an even trade, right? Because AI and software is significantly less expensive than humans are, and so that cost to serve metric comes into play here. Let's say maybe you don't get a 100% right solution. We get a 90% right solution. Would you rather have a 90% right solution at 10% of the cost, or 100% right solution at 100% of the cost? I think this is a real calculation that companies are actually making right now. When you have a sales rep, you got to pay a commission. They don't work for free. And so the question is, do they add enough value in enough different areas on a broad-based way to justify the commissions? Because some companies are smart about this. Some companies give different commissions for new sales versus existing sales, but some don't. And a sale is a sale is a sale. So I hear often that companies are like, hey, we're paying these sales reps to have people book orders online, and the sales reps don't do anything. And I said, well, that's a good adoption strategy. But once you reach a certain percentage, let's say, 50% of all the sales are being booked by the customer themselves online, why am I paying a sales rep, an expensive sales rep?
Yeah.
So don't confuse knowledge with wisdom when it comes to a site in other areas. Whether or not AI is going to bring the wisdom part, we'll find that out. But at a macro level, we see customers putting more products online than ever. So the breadth of products is crazy. Like they're going from an average of 40, 50,000 products per site that we see to hundreds of thousands. We have customers with millions of products online. And the depth in terms of configuration, again, hardware, software, and services, all as a part of these products that they're selling, these are not easy. When you've got your MRO or just reorder, again, that's one case, but good sales reps are best educated about the products, about the customer's problems. And really, when it comes to high maturity companies, sales reps also are bringing online adoption as a part of it. They're the best knowledge of their own company's tools itself. First Supply is a large distributor here that, based in Wisconsin. And again, eCommerce gives sales reps more time back. They should be able to use that to strengthen the relationship, but also your customer may not know every online service and everything else that you don't have online, and sales reps can help with that. We see sales reps actually as one of the best indicators of online adoption tools and growth if the sales rep team is actually a part of that thing. It's not just customer-led for online adoption.
Mr. Pope, you said millions of products. Okay, so you're going to expect the salespeople to understand all of the nuance of all these millions of products and do a better job than AI can at surfacing the right product for that application. I don't buy it. I mean, you guys have a search engine. Optimizely, you're in this business. How don't you do a better job than the search engines do, than the sales reps do?
Well, and
You
Brian,
do a great job
at the end of the month too, at the end of the quarter.
Right.
We do a great job, and you need us. Right? Like you need good search on your site. You want organic because new customers are the other part of that. You better be paying attention to new customers, even though it's not going to be some huge growth area. And how do you expect the customer to do it if your own sales reps can't? How do you expect the customer who has 15 different options in how to buy that product or other products there to be an expert in that? Your sales rep thinks about your product line every day. Your customer doesn't. Your customer is going to think about it when they need it. Your customer is going to think about, ways to get it. But when you look at quality and price and delivery and everything else that's associated to it, that's the edge that you have. And that's also the part that some of those online services are probably not going to touch. Amazon's not going to put a sales rep on this. This is a part of your defense and knowledge and everything else of which you can show your ability to have really good digital tools and online tools, but also the capability that you care and that you're going to make sure that customer is taken care of.
Well, one thing I will actually, since you mentioned Amazon, one of the interesting things that Amazon's doing, and this is for your argument there, Mr. Pope, is they actually now have people doing buy and sell side relationships with buyers and sellers of product. So even Amazon has found some benefit from doing that. So, but don't credit that to Mr. Pope's argument. We're arguing the other side, so we'll forget that.
But are those sales reps or what I predicted long ago, which is basically customer service? They're doing customer service that has a demand generation component to it.
Yeah.
I'm talking sales rep where you're commissioned based on the amount you sell every quarter. I think that model has changed because the other thing is, Trevor, let's be honest. Brian's right, and I don't say that often, but millions of products leads to billions or trillions of combinations. No human can keep all that in their brain. And on top of that, at the end of the quarter, salespeople tend to sell what they know, not necessarily the highest profit or highest margin products. So there's going to have to be a heavy dose of technology there to optimize the sale, the margin, et cetera, because I'm sorry, humans are not as good as software at putting these things together and selling the right combinations. Now, maybe in certain circumstances, your point is very complex, heavily domain expertise-centric environments, yes. But by and large, I have a hard time seeing how software isn't the solution here. And AI is just a better way to interface with software, isn't it?
So, again, it's going to be sales. Well, we find that actually sales reps are oftentimes some of the largest users of digital tools within that company itself because they're experts in it. They're the ones who are actually going to study all of this beforehand, so the customer doesn't have to. So when a sales rep is really an extension of that customer's team in solving problems, in procuring things that they need, and really the cost of unplanned purchases as well, and getting them what they need. That's a key part. Andy, I can't do anything about the sales rep is going to sell what they know and only stick to that as far as margin. Obviously, there needs to be a balance, but I mean, we work with Grainger. Obviously, they're an enormous investment in digital tools themselves. They also have a small army of sales reps because they want to partner with the customers. It's about that extension of the customer's teams. We have another customer who's a large electrical distributor in Texas. They specialize in big energy projects. So think about the renewable wind and solar and everything else. They do close to 100 quotes per week, purely helping with the technical requirements for customers that are bidding on projects. And then when someone gets that project, then they do all the supply. They also do a ton of sales directly for those projects that were unplanned or that just need to happen for those customers and those electrical supplies. But it's a big part of what they can do.
Yeah, I think we'll agree on one thing too, is on services. I don't think that's something that's been productized well, ironically enough, in the e-commerce environment. It's harder to sell services. Sales reps, I think, can sell services and solutions.
Yeah.
You wanted to say something quickly about that?
Yeah, I mean, so preventative service, MRO service plans themselves, like across the board, this is a part that I think companies are eager to make sure that they're not having unplanned downtime and things like that. That's also another part where sales reps can be really helpful in, because that's not always just about a product, but it's about understanding the whole system and what you're doing. So services are generally higher margin. They don't always fit into just a specific e-commerce price. There's an element to being on site too when it comes to services and understanding, especially with automation. Like we see a lot of things around industrial automation in general, whether it's new or in services that go into that. Those are other areas, again, that Amazon's probably not going to touch with an on-site person or other areas that someone with good knowledge will absolutely be able to help cement that relationship.
Well, I'm going to take my parting shot on this one before we go to the poll to see if you busted the myth. These are the same arguments people made about selling products online. And I think the takeaway I have from this is it's only a matter of time. The question is, what's the time horizon, right? Before AI is selling services as well, if not better than sales reps. So my parting shot here is I still think this is going to happen. It is a question of when.
Yeah.
But on that note, Brian, do we want to go to the poll?
We need to go to our poll, so let's go ahead and pull that up. Now, we need to know from the audience whether or not Mr. Trevor Pope has, in fact, busted the myth. Let's go ahead and pop that myth or reality on your screen here. You should see just a poll. B2B e-commerce will make your sales team obsolete. No, myth busted, or yes, not busted. We'll give you a minute to go ahead and submit your answers there, and then we'll find out how Mr. Pope did. Andy,
so if you agree with Brian and I, it's the no answer. If you agree with Trevor, it's the yes answer that he busted the myth. So
anyway, you had to take the last word, didn't you, Andy? That's
he always does that, Trevor. Welcome to my world, man. So, no, interesting point, Trevor, about services, though. I think that is, I think that is still a place where, truly sales team can really add a lot of value. And I think also it's a differentiation point to your point about Amazon and Amazon Business. A lot of the volume that's migrated there is tail spend. It's not the highly complex, it's consultative selling. It's, I need the product quickly. I need it tomorrow. And I know Amazon has it. I trust their fulfillment. A lot of that that's where they've gotten a lot of their volume, historically. But interestingly enough, they are moving into other areas like planned spend. You're going to find they're going to be more into services, as Andy was, I think, alluding to a bit. So, I think that world will change too, but certainly an area that that is going to continue to evolve. We'll get to our poll results in just a minute, but Trevor, I think we wanted to give you a moment to kind of kumbaya here a little bit, and kind of a final statement from you.
It's about both. Again, the multi-touch relationships are the ones that we see is having the most success with customers. And again, digital is not just for your end customers. It's also about your company. It's about sales reps themselves. You're going to have sales rep turnover. You're going to have inside sales rep turnover. Like across the board, this is oftentimes where the conglomeration of a lot of product data comes together, as well as inventory and price and shipping and catalogs and all the other stuff that you do as a company, right? So including the merchandising and product specs. So good things around vendor managed inventory for sales reps, supporting that sales rep persona, product configuration, analytics by sales reps, understanding customer bill to and ship to levels and the sales reps attached to that and how you do it, understanding how you suggest orders to your customers, how you continue to expand share of wallet and really looking at use cases. Like that's a key part of any relationship. But again, think of it as multifaceted.
Yeah, I like to share wall. That's my favorite KPI ever. Well, Mr. Pope, thank you for joining us. Andy, Hoar, any final words before we go to our poll results and see how Mr. Pope did?
Yeah, we actually got a comment. Somebody said it's not as black and white. Sales reps need to be repositioned to focus on consultancy selling, which is understanding and addressing customer pain points and key account management in the B2B space. I think that's right. I mean, I think we'd all agree that the opportunity here is for high margin, high value solution and services selling. The question has always been, how do you get those people? They're more expensive. They require higher training. You don't need as many of them, by the way, as well, which is where I came from, the death of B2B salesman idea. But yeah, so I think somebody just agreed with you, Trevor. So maybe we'll see in the polling that person voted 100 times and you won. So we'll see.
That's right. All right. Well, let's go ahead and no, it didn't bust it. Whoa. All right. So the myth was not busted. Interesting. So Andy,
wait. Isn't it the myth is busted?
Wait, let's see.
Brian, you did this last time too.
I always do this. I always
tried to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Is that what
you're? No, man. You hold on. You're right. Actually, yes, you're right. Actually, you are correct. Thank you. I did the same thing last time, Trevor.
Keep an eye on you.
Got me, man. You caught me. All right. So, Andy, we were defeated, as usual.
I think I explained it wrong too when I gave my instructions there. So congratulations, Trevor. It looks like your family voted and
family voted. Trevor, congratulations. You've outlasted your neoprene suit, was well worn. Excellent job, sir. Andy, this has been an interesting and fun Mythbusters. I think I'm going to leave the announcement of the winner to you from now on because I get it wrong every single time. I be up for that, man. I really do.
Stop doing the double negatives with the poll results. So
Yes.
it confuses even us. But no, it was great. Trevor handled himself quite well. And I think he made his points very effectively. So congratulations, Trevor. You defeated the master B2B team, which is a rare thing.
Sure. Yeah, it sure is. Yeah. Well, anyhow, folks. No, Trevor, good job. Thank you very much for joining. Folks, we will see you next time on the next Mythbusters and on our Friday 15 podcast or wherever else you may find us in the ecoverse of e-commerce. See you all later. Thanks for joining.
See you guys.